the human race. That was the ultimate line in the sand, a cosmic boundary that the human race stepped over. Now we know, because the text indicates, that the earth in Noah's time was filled with violence and perversion and destruction and murder, human trafficking and sin of every kind. So we know from that perspective God judged the human race by a great flood. But I think the thing that actually tipped the scales, not that God approved of the other, was the intermingling of seed between demonic and human. And then it says, these giants were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. Okay, so that's what triggers the flood, the judgment. And now God gives us a topical view of the sociological, spiritual, cultural conditions of planet Earth before the flood, where there was approximately 9 billion people. Verse 5, then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. So part of the wickedness of man's heart was the fact that he would be willing to or it would be women and men, even though the women were having the relationships with the demons sexually. Again, it goes back to Adam and Eve. It was accepted by the men. The men didn't stop it. So it was a collective sin of the human race. And it says, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart, speaking of mankind, was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made man on earth, and that he was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping things and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Now, let's look at this for a moment. The judgment was a flood. Now, God promised after flooding the earth that he would never flood the earth again. That's what the rainbow in the sky is. The rainbow in the sky is a sign of the covenant that God made between himself and mankind, saying, I will never again judge the earth by flooding it with water. And as a proof of that covenant or that contract, I'm going to have a rainbow as a sign of that covenant. But let's look at the judgment. The judgment involved, first of all, God warned Noah and his family. It said Noah was perfect. Well, did that mean he was a holy, righteous man? Very possibly. But it could also mean that Noah's family, for whatever reason, genetically was perfect, in the sense that, not that they were some kind of master race, but because, for whatever reason, the DNA in Noah's family line was not corrupted by sexual relationships between demons and the daughters of men, and so the DNA pool of Noah was perfect. It was still made in the image of God. It was subject to the fall, but it was not corrupted with the DNA of demons or of the Nephilim. So how did God carry out this judgment? Well, we're going to get into this in a moment. My name's Paul McGuire, and man, I'm just going to tell you something. You need to get my DVD series, Are You Ready? You can watch the trailer at paulmcguire.org. It's going to blow your mind because it's going to show you what's going to happen very quickly in the next few years on planet Earth from the economic perspective, the coming one world economic system. It's going to show you the coming global government and how we're going to get there in the next few years, and the coming one world religion. Now, I give information that has not been given before. I've assembled and analyzed information that you may be familiar with, but from a completely different perspective. And I'm doing this because this is a burden that God has placed on my heart to warn people. And that's why I say, are you ready? Because I believe that these are signs of the soon coming return of the Messiah to planet Earth. Now, I don't believe you assign specific dates, and I'm not claiming a specific dates. There's one particular nut, and I don't apologize for the word, because I think it's tragic. He's published books at least 3 times claiming to know the exact date of the return of Jesus Christ. And he's wrong every single time, and he's been wrong before. So being a nut, I think, is kind. The Bible says no man knows the day or the hour, so I don't claim to know the day or the hour, but I do think as believers we know the general time frame of the return of the Lord. Now, one of the things Jesus Christ said, as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. And in a moment we're going to go into what Jesus Christ meant by that truth and how we can apply it in our world today. I'm Paul McGuire. And this is the second segment in our teaching on as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the coming of the days of the Son of Man. And we're talking specifically about the fact that in Genesis 6 we read an account about how the demons or fallen angels had sexual relations with the daughters of men, and they somehow were able to intermingle the DNA, and this broke a great cosmic law of the Lord's, and their offspring was genetic merger, or a merger of the DNA between the demonic and human, and their offspring were called the Nephilim or the Nephilim. Now, there are laboratories in the world today. Now, God, again, this might run the risk of, I'm not trying to make myself sound special, but I do believe in the because I was getting wet. And I was up on the cliffs of Malibu, and I was talking about a number of things, and the Lord began to speak to my inner man, not in an audible voice, but I became aware. It was as if I could sense the proximity of secret laboratories. Now, when I say proximity, I don't think they were in the immediate area, but I could sense the existence of these secret laboratories. It was as if they were there, but I could not see them with my senses. They were there spiritually, and I couldn't perceive them with my senses. And the Lord, as I was talking, 2 things were happening simultaneously. As I was talking into the camera, the Lord was speaking to me, not in an audible voice, but through a series of impressions upon my heart. The Lord said there are secret laboratories. I'm paraphrasing. The Lord said there are secret laboratories all over the world where men are in the process of cloning human beings. And there are experiments going on where they are taking animal, human, and possibly the DNA of the Nephilim, and they are creating what's called a transhuman or a post-human species, and they want to take the next evolutionary jump and by creating a post-human species. Now, the Lord protected me again. He didn't give me any specifics. He didn't tell me where the laboratories were located. He didn't tell me what organizations were involved in these experiments, although you can find out through research or ordering my DVD series, Are You Ready? Some of the groups behind these things, but I became supernaturally aware of their existence before I knew of their existence through research. Now, a number of years later, through research, it confirmed what the Lord revealed to me, literally supernaturally. And why did the Lord reveal this to me supernaturally? Well, because it's a heavy thing to the Lord. And God destroyed the earth because of it in the days of Noah. And that's why Jesus Christ said, as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the coming of the days of the Son of Man. And he compared Noah's time with man's time. And this is what happened. Fallen angels were having sexual relations with human women. Thus, the DNA of demons and the DNA of humans was being unnaturally mixed, producing an offspring called the Nephilim or the Nephilim. And they were also known as the giants of old, and they produced a combination of demonic and human attributes. Now, this is a very serious transgression of the law of God, and in addition to the fact that men were evil and wicked, God destroyed the human race because of that. And so we know this is a prophetic sign. We know that there is going to be a repeat, a redo, R-D-U-X, that's a particular term. I know how to spell the word redo. In the last days, Jesus is telling us that this sin of intermingling demonic DNA with human DNA is going to be repeated. And the wickedness and the perversity of the human race is going to be perverted. But God is not going to destroy the earth through a flood. He made a covenant about that, and that's what the purpose of the rainbow is. It's a sign of the covenant that he would never destroy the earth again through a flood. And so we know we're close to the Lord's return when we begin to read about how nations all across the earth are spending trillions of dollars in the field of biotechnology to create a post-human species in what's called the transhumanist movement. And what they're doing for military purposes, for genetic enhancement, cognitive enhancement purposes, they are mingling the DNA of animals, Nephilim, if indeed they have the DNA of Nephilim, and man. But just if they were mingling the DNA of animal and man, that would be an affront to God. But that's happening in laboratories. Why? Because for military applications, they want human beings that are like cyborgs. You add computers and powerful drugs that can give cognitive amplification, and you can create a race of cyborg warriors that are physically taller. They have more muscles. They have night vision like certain animals. Their hearing is vastly amplified like other animals, and they have the attributes of animals in a variety of areas that make them as human beings superior fighting machines. So we now have the mixture of technology, transhumanism, and the mixture of DNA of animal, possibly Nephilim, and human beings. And so